I'm gonna own this one as a big kind of bad take and mea culpa on my own part. But I've been down on Jakobi Meyers for a while, and not because I don't think Jakobi Meyers is good at what Jakobi Meyers does. I think every team needs a guy like Jakobi Meyers, but he shouldn't be your number one option because it's a little bit of a security blanket. He doesn't do much after the catch. He's not a downfield threat. I feel like it's a safe. Well, yeah, I feel like it's a safe option. Okay. I've always felt so. And I feel like when you develop that security, it actually might hamper development of other receivers and limit the amount of, shots downfield or other things that someone like Mac Jones might do, because you just lean on the guy that you trust. And everyone's got a guy on their team. But I just always thought Jakobi Meyers would be a nice complementary third receiver type of thing. And the more run he got, the more I was like, come on, let's move past this. This offense is never going to reach its potential with Jakobi Meyers as your number one. I think we have to start rethinking that a little bit based on Jakobi's play. And there was an article written this week locally, and I apologize to whoever wrote it because I can't remember to cite it, but it was Patriots teammates talking about Myers. And they're talking about him in ways that most people don't think of him, which is unguardable was one word, ridiculously quick, able to do things, able to read leverage of defenders and get them to, lean one way and really use them the other way. And again, almost every comp was going back to Julian Edelman, who we felt was super quick, very cerebral, able to, and it's the type of receiver who can beat double coverages with this type of thing, or beat bracket coverage or do whatever, just because. And so now I said, I'm going to eat it. I'm going to own it. Jakobi Meyers, I don't know if he's a traditional number one receiver, but I'm starting to warm to the notion of him being a number one target and being okay with it.
And I mean, when you think about Edelman, we were saying a lot of the same things. Now, Edelman, his difference was that he had unreal quickness. Legitimately was one of the quickest, twitchiest people in the league.
Yeah.
And then, he had the after the catch element. So when Jakobi Meyers, it was very obvious that he slid into Edelman's role, because Jakobi kind of came out his rookie year and was the most consistent player on the team outside of Edelman. So that's when you started to see him get all the targets. Everything forced his way because he just did the right thing all the time. And we know how the Patriots work. If you're consistent, you're going to get opportunities. Where he has exceeded expectation. And to be fair, in college, I remember I loved him when they picked him up, because when you look at his college highlights, he was getting balls downfield. They were targeting him on those slot fades, and he wasn't getting a ton of separation, but he was coming down with all those catches and making some really crazy plays. So his role his first few seasons, he was only getting the underneath stuff. And frankly, when you're moving the chains, that's fine. But when it's first down and you're giving him a bubble screen, it's like,
I know. But he's also not a yak guy. He's a possession guy. He's a guy who would typically get the ball and kind of go down quick. So underneath stuff for him, if you throw it 8 yards, you're getting 9, right. So in the past. But if
that 9 yards matters when it's third down,
it matters.
You really need it. Yeah. Right. But that's the thing. We need to get away from, he's not Jules, but he separates the same way. And that's the thing he's done well since college, because he's a former quarterback. He is so great at knowing where a defender is going to be at the top of the route, how he's got to set him up to get open based on his release, that, knows how to, just all the things that his teammates have said. I'm not going to beat the dead horse there. But what I want to highlight is his improvement. One, I think the thing is behind the scenes is where Jakobi does a lot of his growth. And like this year, I think he's come back and he looks a lot bigger, which is one thing.
He's bigger?
He was pretty thin for sure. And, it's like, oh, yeah, this guy's quick. He's sudden, but he's kind of small. So you worry about that. We're thin, but he's about 6 feet tall. He's one of the taller guys they've had at that position. He's 6'2". Okay, so he's like, I didn't
he's
even remember
6'2". He was listed at 200. I think he's bigger now. He's like 6'2", 210. So that's the thing is, and that's why I always thought his profile would have been based off of his physical profile, and a guy who operated in the slot would have been more like a big slot Marcus Colston type receiver, possession guy, run some stuff up the seam, a little bit underneath, never really threaten you downfield, but a good guy. And that's not a bad comp. I mean, but he's basically putting up without the touchdowns, those types of numbers in terms of reception and yardage, at least on a per game average. His numbers and who he compares with right now, he's in the elite stratosphere of receivers in terms of his per game averages.
Yeah, because now they're going more vertical downfield, and Jakobi can do that. Again, not only is he like, oh yes, he's tall, and that's one reason he doesn't have that same like Edelman type quickness. Remember, Edelman's 5'9", 5'10". Like once you get up to 6 feet, you're not going to see a lot of guys.
He lists himself at 5'11", but I'm dubious. Yeah,
right. We all know he's not 5'11".
Troy Brown was listed at 5'10", and I could see the top of his head in the when I was in the locker room. So like, there's no way.
There you go.
Yeah,
they're always trying to make these guys feel a little better in the stats column. But Jakobi is the guy. Well, now he's got the bulk where it's like, oh damn, like he really can win downfield and out muscle guys. He's had the toughness, he's had the hands, but now there's a more physical element to his game on top of just the suddenness. Like when you see him off the line of scrimmage, you would think Jakobi, like, he'd get bullied outside. A lot of the time, he's so smooth on his release, he's not even getting touched. So guys are kind of catching him from behind, then he's swatting away coverage. And he wins so quickly. And that's the thing you'll always hear about from cornerbacks. Like if I lose off the line and you're in catch-up mode, with a guy like Jakobi, that's all he needs. Because he's going to shake you just enough to get the separation at the top. And if the timing's there, it's going to be a completion. And now that they're going more vertical, he's getting more opportunities to, like we saw against the Steelers, or I think it was the Dolphins, or one of those two, I'm sorry. But you see him go up against their defender and make those crazy catches where it's like, okay, this guy is more than just an underneath threat. And we saw flashes of it even last year where they gave him, I think, 8 targets on fade routes, and he caught like 6 of them, and they were all pretty high level receptions. So, yeah, I mean, he's blown away expectations, but that's like also a credit to one, the role that he has this year, and also the work that he's done behind the scenes to improve.
Yeah. And again, the article was Nesson.com. It was Zach Cox, but I mean, some of the numbers here are incredible. It's 7th among all qualified pass catchers in receptions per game, nearly 7, 87 yards trails only 87 yards per game. And again, he's missed 2, trails only Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, and AJ Brown. And according to PFF, he's the 5th highest graded wideout behind Kupp, Digg, Hill, and Brown. That's insanely good company to keep. So again, a good read, good quotes from the guys there. If you want to check it out over on Nesson.com, credit where it's due. Really interesting article, just kind of talking about how his teammates perceive him and how he's stacking up versus some of the elite receivers in the NFL this year. It's been really impressive.